So it seems that now it's recording. So let's get started. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to discuss as we kind of promoted is preseason tips for new coaches, new parents, players, and whatnot. Now, please understand that all these are opinions of myself. And as I always say to all the players, listen up to the different coaches, listen to what they have to say, and then take whatever you think fits in your play, make it your own. I'm not a big fan of people that say never do da 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 da. Okay, I think that there's more than one way to take care of things. Some are better than others, but then again, it all depends on who you're talking to and their circumstances. So what works great for me may not work for you. But what works basically with Coach John may be so for Coach Joe. What works great with a U8 the girls team may not work with another U8 girls team. So once again, like I say, I tell all the players, listen. I mean, the kids are very smart, regardless of what age group they're in. They're very, very smart. So I always say, listen, take what thing suits you, okay, and then incorporate it into your game. I'm not a fan, and I repeat this, I'm not a fan of coaches or teachers or anybody that says never do da 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 da. Okay, so preseason tips. What can we discuss? Well, in my opinion, it all depends again on the age group that we're talking about, the gender of the players, and also the ability. Are they recreation players? Are they travel players? Are they academy players? Are they 4-year-olds, 5-year-olds? Are they 10, 12-year-olds? Are they teens going to middle school? I'm sorry, 10, 12 probably are going to middle school. Or are they teens going to high school? Okay. Or are you a player that's already a college player? So everything is different. Okay. Unfortunately, and once again, please understand that before being a hold on one second. Did I make a mistake here? Sorry about that. Okay, I told you I was going to make mistakes. So as people are coming in, I'm pressing buttons and trying to talk at the same time. So I told you guys I'll be making mistakes with this platform. It's pretty new, but I promise I will get better as time goes on. So once again, I want to remind everybody that before I am a paid coach, trainer, owner of a bunch of soccer sports companies, I am a parent, just like everybody else. My daughter started playing soccer when she was 4 years old. She went the typical, travel route, being a travel player, I think at U7, playing for, different teams. Actually, she didn't play for a lot of teams. She was lucky enough to be on a really, really good team when she made the travel team. She got quite a bit of development, so she's only really changed one team, and now she plays for another team, so she's about to go into high school. But guess what? Just like everybody else, I have to pay the registration fees. I have to pay the uniform fees. I have to pay the travel fees to go to tournaments, when we stay at hotels, going out and eating, not including the time that we invest in traveling and everything else. So just like everybody else, I write the check for her to play. Now, we all have different ideas on how we should spend our money. We all have different ideas about. Hold on a second. I heard this noise. I don't know what that means. Let me see. Okay, I don't know what that means, but bear with me. Okay, so not everybody's muted, by the way. So if you are in front of a mic and you would like to contribute, or you can go ahead and do so. Just be respectful. We'll try it that way because again, I'm not familiar with all the controls. But anyway, as I was saying, everybody has a different idea and a different plan on how they are going to spend their money for their kids, where the kids are going to go, and so on and so forth. So these are just thoughts and ideas and opinions that I have gathered over the last decade of being very actively in soccer. I don't want to go into a long detail description of my experience in past. If you guys go on SOCCERSKILLZ.net, soccer skills always with a Z, just like on the screen. You'll see a description of what I've done. But as I say, there are some folks and volunteer parents, volunteer parent coaches have more passion than sometimes is needed. Okay. And just like myself, when my daughter was younger, I still remember when we used to go and try to train on the side, again, preseason. Hey, it's coming. Let's go kick the ball around. And we go on the field and I would try to instruct her and help her out. And I just couldn't figure out why she was having such a hard time making a simple pass. Okay. Now, I mean, like I've played at the highest level. I've played professionally in Europe. So I thought I knew everything, but playing the game and teaching the game are two different things. Playing the game and being a parent to a 4-year-old, even if they're, pretty good at it, are two different things. So there were a couple of things that I ignored. For the fact is that girls at a very young age, their tendons, their muscles, their joints are stiff. So when we're asking a 6, 7, 8-year-old to, lift up her toes, lock her ankle, and make a proper pass is difficult because we're asking her to turn her foot sideways, keep her hips straight, and try to make an accurate pass. And we can't figure out why they can't do it. That's because we forget about the fact that their joints and their, muscles and everything else are not developed yet. So it's difficult. So anyway, these are the things that I've made mistakes of, and I kind of forgot. When I played, they just have dietitians and trainers and doctors on top of you 24/7. Because when you make that level, you're an investment. You are money to a team that you're playing for. They're paying you a contract, so they want to make sure that you're healthy and you play to your best potential. Because otherwise, you're going to lose money. So I forgot a lot of times that there is different things that go into the development of a player. For example, are they eating well? Okay, are they sleeping well? Are they training at the right times? Are they boys? Are they girls? How old are they? You forget these things as you get a grown up, and our desire to basically get those kids playing and excel, okay, kind of overshadows that. So preseason, and I want to show you guys a diagram that I have of what preseason is all about. If you go to the site of U.S. Soccer, there's a lot of good material. By the way, a lot of this stuff is free for you guys. Let me see. I kind of put one here. All right. So the U.S. Soccer planning and training, Claudio Reyna has a very, very good, description of what it should be. And in that description, it actually gives you some very good information. So if you are a coach parent, it's a great read. You should definitely look into it. If you're a parent, it will give you a good idea, how it's all should be done, regardless if it's done or how it should be done. It also kind of helps you to maybe, not critique the coach if you're not the coach of the team, not critique the coach, but kind of understand where the coach is coming from. Now, if it's a volunteer coach that, has no idea about these things, maybe you can help him out, but don't be disrespectful. Don't get into an argument. Oh, I went to this, presentation and this guy said da da da. Or maybe you can say, hey, Coach Bob, maybe this will help you and direct them towards this. So basically, U.S. Soccer has principles of seasonal planning for development. Okay, and their diagram is, it might have some different words than mine, but we'll go over back and forth for both. All right. So again, I'm going to bounce all over this presentation, so try to stick with me. So basically, getting back to preseason, when is the preseason starting? What should be, what should we look for? How is our player gonna have the best chance at getting fit and all this stuff? Well, first things first. First things first. Let's go and address what the difference between U.S. soccer is and the rest of the world. All right. In my opinion, U.S. soccer is just way too structured, way too organized. The kids don't have a chance to just get a ball and go in the park and play. Very few that do that. The rest of the world does that. I mean, they play everywhere. You go, we just came back from Spain. I took a team to Spain. We had a great, 10 days. And you know what? There were kids at the beach. They set up, little towels as goals, and they were playing on the beach. You're not going to go to the Jersey Shore. By the way, we are from Jersey. You're not going to go to the Jersey Shore and you're going to see a lot of kids playing soccer on the sand. You might see them throwing a frisbee or whatever, but you're not going to see a lot of kids. The point I'm trying to make is that outside of organized training, my kid today has soccer training from 6 to 7:30. How many times does she train a week? Oh, twice a week. Outside of the structured, organized training that we have in the U.S., there's not a lot street soccer, as we say, where the kids are in front of your house and they just take, two, I don't know, whatever they find. They take two baseball mitts because they were just playing, baseball toss. They put them down and they create a goal and just play soccer. Or they take, whatever they fucking find. They take two buckets and they put them in the middle of the street. If in the middle of the street, meaning that they're safe, small street, and they play. But the rest of the world does that. You'll see kids playing everywhere. Now, in my opinion, the reason why this happens in the U.S. is because there's way too many activities. Okay, there is organized soccer, there's organized basketball, there's organized, softball, there's organized lacrosse, there's dancing, there's gymnastics, there's hip hop, there's this, there's that. There's way too many activities. They're organized, and of course, parents are, paying the money and taking the kids here and there. So there's not a lot of free play. Big fan of free play, by the way. I mean, I wish that, we could just designate a day here in Jackson, New Jersey, and just say, just bring the kids and let them play. Let the kids play. Don't get involved. So the rest of the world, when the kids start playing, when the kids start playing, by the way, there is not a lot of structure, meaning that they'll teach them, how to touch the ball with the instep or their foot. They'll teach them how to use the bottom of their foot. But a big portion is used from the trainings. It doesn't matter if it's club or academies, is used for the kids to just play. So they'll play small-sided games, which is another big thing that we don't do in this country. 3 versus 3, 4 versus 4, 5 versus 5, depending on the ages. And every time they go to training, they're going to have Joe, Bobby, and Jimmy play against, Mikey, Arthur, and Nikki. And the next time that they come, they'll switch the teams and, they'll be different teams. And they just keep playing. And again, we forget that the game is the best, teacher that we can have. In the U.S., we just have a love affair with leagues, standing, winning, which, by the way, does not guarantee how good your kid is going to get. But as grown-ups, man, we fight. If you hear a coach say, well, we're not going to join a league. We're just going to, play around and let the kids have fun. Well, what do you mean? My son doesn't like that. No, it's not your daughter and it's not your son that don't like that. It's the parents that don't like that because it's outside of norm. For now, U.S. soccer, by the way, is changing all these things. So there will come a day where this will become norm, just like in Europe and in South America. Until that time comes, though, there's major pushback because the parents just don't want to get it. Jimmy doesn't like that. It's not Jimmy, it's mom and dad. Mom and dad want to log on the computer and look at the standings and brag about that the team is undefeated and that they haven't lost a game and, and they got all kinds of trophies, blah, 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 blah. Meantime, the team is not the best, technical, tactical team. They can't read the game. But they're really good because they have 2 kids on that team that they're physically gifted and they can outrun everybody and they can out-toe, and I mean toe, not even shoot the ball or finish the ball. And some of the balls go in and this team wins games. So, again, Our love affair with leagues, standings, and results is not like the rest of the world. The rest of the world is teaching, a winning attitude. You play a game, you play a game because you're trying to win. So the winning attitude has to be built in there. Nobody says that the rest of the world is not teaching that, hey, we're playing a game to win, but not over personal and team development. So they are teaching a winning attitude, but personal and team development, is a priority. U.S. promotes a winning attitude over a personal and team development. Okay, the rest of the world is more technical with the ball. If you guys go to any other country, soccer country, like I said, we just came from Spain, and I have an interview which at some point I gotta put on our webpage. And the coach said the biggest difference between America and European countries is that whatever the kids do, they have a soccer ball. If they're running with a soccer ball. If they're jumping hurdles, they're jumping with hurdles with their soccer ball. If they're going to have lunch, they're carrying their soccer ball with them. They're always having a soccer ball at their feet. It becomes second nature. U.S. relies more on a physical ability and not enough technical ability to win games and think that they're going through development. So this is some of the differences. I'm going to try to move along. Okay. This is the schedule I was talking to you guys about. So the fear P word for preseason. All right. So everybody says, oh, well, the season's going to start. You're going to start training, blah, blah, blah. Well, before preseason, there should be another season, which is called the off season. And once again, age plays a difference. So if you have a player who's, 4, 5, 6, 7 years old, and let's just say 4, 5, 6. I'll leave 7 out. Well, they really don't need any preseason, off season. September 1st, the season kicks off. Great. Little Mikey, little Bobby, little Jane, little Mary, they take their ball, they put their brand new cleats on, the socks, and they go and they play. They really don't need much more than that. They're very young. As they get older, let's say, 9, 10, okay, maybe 10, 12. Let's leave 9, 10 out, okay? Maybe now, there might be some kind of preseason. And again, it all depends on the player. How serious are they? Do you see a possibility? Okay. Don't go out and buy $200 cleats before you know your son and your daughter are going to play, are going to stick around. And I see that happens all the time. People going out spending money on equipment, and before you know it, their child is quitting. Oh man, I just spent $200 in cleats, and she doesn't want to play anymore. So once again, it all depends on the individual player. All right. So this is just a little, schedule that I've created just to show you guys again for a little bit older player and the more dedicated player. Because again, you could be 14 years old, but you just play for soccer, for fun. You play in a recreation league. You really don't want to play organized soccer. You're just having fun. But for the more structured player, maybe some of this can help out. Once again, if you're a younger player, man, just let them put a ball. You guys go to Great Adventure, while you have a ball in the car. You guys in the parking lot waiting for something to happen, kick a ball around. You guys go there, have a ball and let them play at all times. But it could also be that, your son or your daughter doesn't have that desire. Soccer is no big deal. They like to go. If it's there, they'll play. If it's not there, no big deal. They'll never touch a ball. And that's okay too. Okay? Maybe your desire to see your son or your daughter constantly playing and excelling, okay, is bigger than theirs. So keep that in check. Anyway, so here it is. Like I said, preseason, of course, like I said, is not for every player. The off-season program is a program to get the player ready for preseason. All right? So a lot of people don't realize that the year is not the same. Okay? If your daughter or your son at a very young age, okay, you probably don't realize that teams and individual players should train differently depending on which part of the season they're in. Now, this is set up for someone who plays soccer pretty much year-round, 12-month increments. And actually, if I go back to the U.S. soccer here, here's how they break it down. The season is organized in 12-week periods so that during the time the player will build his game understanding as well as develop soccer-specific fitness and skills necessary to perform in the competition. So everything they do is in 12-week increments, which is 3 months. Okay, so the same scenario that you guys see here, maybe with different words, is what I basically have for the more serious players. So again, not only the more serious players, sorry, but also for the older players. So for my girls' team, that this year they're going to be, U16, they're going to follow these. For my boys' team, that this year they're going to be 17, okay, they're going to follow this. But for a team that are 7, 8 years old, well, that's not needed, And I'll share an example with you. I was invited to go and help a coach. First practice, I think the team has like 16 players. I think they're They're U10. They're U10 or I think they're U10. The 16 players just started literally their first training. Just trying to get back into the things after taking the summer off. They had like 7, 8, 9 players. So, we just did over, a few exercises, just touching the ball to see, how rusty they are from summer vacation. Just kicking the ball around, show them a couple things. And then, we just played. We played a game. They played, I think it was 3v3 or 4v4 with a neutral player. So while they're playing, one of the parents, and by the way, there's only like, 3 parents, 4 parents, because the attendance was kind of small. And one of the parents is yelling, "Go get it! Go get it!" Cheering like, God, I felt like saying, "Mom, just relax. They're just here to have fun. Just, enjoy watching them and just relax." But just to show you again, how passionate we get and we get out of control because we are adults and we don't see the game from their perspective, from their eyes. Okay, so keep that in mind. Again, this is for a little bit of an older player. So an off season, and I kind of describe everything here. Off season is a maintenance training program, which is I might have a little light running, always touching the ball, having creative, fun activities. Maybe you can do swimming, maybe you can do biking, maybe you can do basketball, maybe you can do softball. I don't know, any kind of activity. It can be soccer oriented or non-soccer oriented. But basically, it's very, very, very mild. All right. I would recommend, and let me see. Let me see if I can find this one. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you one of the things that we have, a preseason packet. Actually, it's not really a preseason; it's an off-season packet. But it kind of gives the players an idea of what to do. So they do a little running. Okay, describes. It actually describes, and this packet describes and tells the players what they're going to be expected to do in the preseason, which is going to follow the off season. We just give them the packet so they know what they're going to do and how to prepare for what they're going to do. So it tells them, you have 5 tests to compete during the first week of preseason: the time mile, suicide test, spring medley test, beep test. Don't ask them what they are, the different tests, and a 12-mile run. Okay, so it tells them what they're going to do. Then it describes every activity: the mile, the suicide test, right? The beep test. It describes what every test is, and then hold on. Let me see if this might be too hard for you guys to see because there's multiple pages. Let me go to what is the one page here? One page. Okay, so let me make this a little bit bigger for you guys. Zoom in. Let's make it 200. Okay, is that better? All right. So after it explains what the activities are, all right, it will give them a schedule. So if you guys see week 1, which starts June 26th and 30th, all right, it gives them, an idea. So you can do just the adequate, run 3 times, do a little better than that, run 4 times, or do great, and then do 5 times, okay? And let's say on a Monday, you do the mile. On Tuesday, instead of suicides, Wednesday, 12-mile run, and so on and so forth. And it gives you a breakdown of week by week. This way, when you go all the way to the week right before, preseason camp starts, now you're in pretty good shape to participate in the preseason. So the off-season program, which is this, okay, you can do it organized like we have it, or you can just, go in the park and do whatever you think you're gonna be able to do, or you think you should do. But having a little schedule, it kind of helps you out. Now, when you go to preseason, All right. Now you're going to have structured training. Now the coach is going to be there. And in our example here, when they come to preseason, they're going to have to do all those tests. So preseason, you have structured training, touches on the ball. There's a lot of technical as well as tactical training. So now you're becoming a little more serious about getting ready for your season. So that's what a preseason is all about. Of course, when the season starts, the training changes. So you have weekly training, which focuses on a game-to-game situation. In other words, what does the team need? What does the player need? And you train a little bit different. There's not as much conditioning. In between seasons, there's a transition period where you can basically, train on various things that, you or the team needs, but you're not really playing any games. And the recovery period, which I call, is the season that it comes when everything is over and done with. And I recommend do nothing other than play soccer, go on vacation, go to the beach, go to Europe, do things, go kayaking, go mountain climbing, do anything that you like, and leave soccer out of it. Of course, some of us are soccer junkies, and we need to have soccer 24/7, 365 days a year. If that's your kid, if that's you, terrific. If you enjoy it, do it. But I recommend just take the time off, go and sit by the beach, enjoy, the salt water, or do something else. It gives you a chance to kind of miss the sport and come back with more of a desire. So the little diagram here I have is like my off season, let's say July, right? Maybe some might start middle of July to do the off season, schedule I just showed you. Go all the way to, like, let's say middle of August. A lot of you guys, if you have older kids now, August 15th or so, a lot of the high schools and middle schools start training. So they'll do that for 2 weeks, and come September, the season starts. So from September to November, most people are in season, so they're playing games. Come November, sometimes in November, somewhere in November, depending on your schedule and what tournaments and what leagues you're in, the season will end. Now winter comes. So between December, let's say, to February, a lot of teams take off. Some don't do any training; they just relax. Some do conditional training where they just touch the ball. Some participate in indoor soccer or what have you, and kind of keep active. And then before you know it, March starts the spring season, March through May. So now you have another in-season training. And of course, once the May, end of May, beginning of June, maybe middle of June rolls around, all the leagues are over, and that's where the recovery period starts. That means that hey, don't do anything, just veg out. Do anything else other than soccer. So that's what my biggest tip would be for the preseason. Now you can say, well, what happens if I never did this? My kid never did this. We didn't know about this. And today's, already August 10th, and they're starting preseason, in a couple of days or in a week or what have you. Well, I guess you are at a disadvantage. Maybe go out and start doing some of the things now. But don't go out and do like 10-mile run. You can't go from doing nothing to, overnight doing 10-mile runs. You got to kind of build it up to it. It might be a little more difficult when you go to preseason this year, but at least for next year. Okay? All right. So here's another tip. Put a lot of work in when no one is watching. It's one of my favorites. And you know what? There's a lot of kids. Man, there's some 6, 7-year-olds that just constantly play with the ball, and they're a joy to watch. There's other kids that don't touch the ball much unless it comes to a game. All right? That's fine. But for the individuals that love the game, okay, putting the work in, and as you get older, believe it or not, no matter how much you love the game, you got to put the work in. Unfortunately, some of the best players, some of the greatest talents never ever play at a high stage because they don't like to put the work in. They don't like to do the things that everybody has to do to play at that level. They have plenty of talent, but they just hate the work. And vice versa, there's some players that are not really that talented, but they just love to play. They love to put the work in. So put the work in when nobody's watching. Gotta love the game. You gotta have fun. You gotta have fun as a player. You gotta have fun as a parent watching your kid. Okay? You gotta distress, take it down a notch. Way too many, volunteer coaches, parent coaches, they're way too intense. You go some of these, and please don't take this personally, but if you do, that means you're probably guilty of it. You go on the sideline on a Sunday and you watch some of these 7, 8-year-old games, and the coaches are so intense. Furthermore, you go to some of the recreation games, and the parents, oh my God, the parent coaches, you would think they're coaching a World Cup game. You would think that they're going to have a heart attack. Take it easy. Just enjoy watching. And by the way, we're all guilty of it. I used to be one of those guys. Okay, I came from a competitive, background. I played professionally, and oh my God, I can't believe that they're not teaching them anything. You learn. So take my advice if you want. Just relax and enjoy them. Okay, it's okay not to be on the best team. A lot of parents think that, well, my kid is better than all these other kids, so I need to go and pay and take her to the best team. She needs to be on the best team. He needs to play with the best of the best. Not necessarily. There's a lot of variables that go in that, to decide that. For those of you that may know me, I'm a big advocate that don't write the check if you don't have to. Some of the kids, the parents start writing the check on these quote unquote academies, and that's actually a slide I got to make. If you paying for training, if you're writing a check, your kid is not playing for an academy. Your kid is in a pre-academy system. An academy is a team that you don't pay. We want your kid because we think he's good enough, she's good enough that we're going to develop them. And at some point, we're going to try to get him or her in our first team. At some point, him or her are going to be having a professional contract and, either play on our first team or try to sell them. That's an academy. It's a trade-off. I think your son or your daughter is good enough. We're going to give him all the training for free. We're going to give the development. And the result for us is that maybe we can use them on our first team or possibly sell their contract. It's plain and simple. Get over your head. You're not playing for an academy if you're writing a check. Lastly, but the next thing would be do not do it for mom and dad. Okay? There's a lot of kids that do it for mom and dad. They're really not into it. And believe me, take it from me. They come to trainings and they're yawning and they just don't want to be there. Their body language, their posture, you could just tell, man, they are just suffering through. For them, it's torture. Oh, I got to listen to Coach Nico. Oh, my God. I can't wait till it's over so I can go and play with my video game. I can't wait till it's over so I can go to Dunkin' Donuts or what have you. Okay, Rita's Ice. Mom and dad, make sure you ask the kids, do you want to do this? Are you having fun? It's your kid. You should be able to see if they're having fun. We more or less we can tell if our kids are having fun. If not, find other activity. It's okay. I know it's difficult. I want my son to be a soccer player like I was. Yeah, but that's you. Does your son want to be a soccer player like you were? Parents, it's okay to allow the players to have a say in their game. It's exactly what I said. My kid is the best. He should be playing with that academy. But did you ask him? Maybe he wants to stay where he's at. Maybe their level of competition might not be the greatest, but he loves his teammates. He loves the social environment. It's okay for them to choose what team or players they would like to play with. It's okay if they are not the best players. It's okay to take it slow. It's okay to make mistakes. And we all make mistakes. All right? What kind of a player are you? Not only what kind of player are you, okay, what kind of players' parents are you? We should know our strengths and our weaknesses. Now, again, if you're having 6, 7, 8-year-olds, unless you have that special child, and believe me, being around a lot of kids that at 7-year-olds, man, they were just beasts. They knew what they wanted. They knew their strengths. They knew their weaknesses. They knew their desire, their love of the game. They were just ahead of the curve. But at the same time, by the time they hit 14, 15 years old, they just blended with the pack. And then you saw the kid that was just not into it so much at 7, at 15, they're ruling the pitch. They're ruling the field. Train on your weaknesses more than your strengths. Train on your weaknesses more than your strengths. Parents, if you know your player has a weakness, if you know they're not good at passing, work on their passing. If you don't know how to help them with their passing on your own, okay, ask somebody. Tell them to show you. Hey, listen, my kid doesn't seem to be good at passing. Can you show me a couple things? Ask the coach, ask the trainer, and you can work with them on the side. Train on your technical elements, not just your physical. Touching the ball, passing, laces, instep, outside part of your foot, bottom of your foot. That's part of your foot that you can use. It's a technical element that every player should possess. If you can't pass the ball, how are you going to play? Don't just work, oh, my kid is, he's only 8 years old, but look, he looks like he's 11. He's just a beast. That's just a physical attribute. Well, guess what? By the time that kid becomes 15, 16 years old, they're all going to be just as big. So now if you don't have the technical element, you only rely on your physical, that kid is not going to be able to, play. Forget about excelling. Train all positions at a young age, even goalkeeper. Don't specialize the kids. Oh, my kid only plays defense. Oh, my kid, scores goals. Da 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 da. No, let them play. Let them play everywhere. Let them experience every position, even goalkeeper. My opinion, every field player should at some point be a goalkeeper. Yeah, but you can't even hold the ball. My God, every shot goes in. So they'll learn things. Believe me. You don't have to specialize in a position until they get older. Okay, playing all positions helps them learn and be able to read the game, which we'll discuss in a little bit. Read the game. Players that can play multiple positions are also more valuable as they get older. If I, as a coach, have a player come try out for me and he says, Coach Nico, I can be a back, but I can also play in the goal. Or I'm a striker, but I can also play midfield. Oh, great. Now I have different options as a coach. Makes that player a lot more valuable. And if that player is good enough, as they get older, they have more options, including college. All right. Failure is your best friend. Okay? Failure is your best friend. Unfortunately, American culture has devoted into an instant gratification. That's the kind of culture we become. We want and we expect instant results. Just look at our lifestyle. Wherever you go is a drive-through. You want to eat? There's a drive-through. You want to go to bank? There's a drive-through. You want to pick up your medication? There is a drive-through. Oh, in Jersey, we don't pop our own gas. Everything is instant. There's no patience. Development requires patience. Proper development. And that's a word that a lot of people are throwing around. And they use it in improper contents, including paid trainers, including paid coaches. Development is not easy. Development is hard. Now, the irony is that it took a while for our culture to become this way. We developed into a instant gratification culture. It just didn't happen overnight. Well, guess what? You're not going to become a soccer player overnight either. So, mom and dad, if you guys think you're going to write a check and your kid is going to become instantly a superstar, it's not going to work that way. Failure is a huge part of development. Let the young players have fun and developing their love of the sport. If they don't fail, they're not going to learn. But there's got to be a measured failure. In other words, your team cannot lose every game by 10 goals. It's not going to be fun. They'll be discouraged. Okay? It's okay to lose every game by 1-0, 2-1, 2-0. That's a different story. They're there. They regress. Then you focus on little wins, on little results. You didn't win the game. Hey, but you know what? We passed 10 times the ball. Hey, we didn't win the game, but we had 3 shots. Hey, we didn't win the game, but our goalkeeper made 5 saves. You concentrate on the small, measurable, successes. Okay? So although failure should be your friend, it also has to be measurable, and it has to be something that it's not going to discourage the players from doing. Okay, so my favorite one is learning how to read the game. That's another preseason tip. All right? And you can do these things, by the way, with your son or your daughter on your own. You don't have to be a coach. You should be able to, if you don't know anything about soccer, use your sports analogy. Okay, so if you see that your daughter or your son are having an issue with running straight, can you correct that? If you see that your daughter or your son has a problem with stamina, they run, a couple of yards and they stop. If you see that there's a problem with concentration, or again, all depends, different variables. How old are they? Are they boys? Are they girls? Boys that tend to be a lot more wild when they're young. 6, 7, 8-year-old boys, man, ooh, ooh, they're all over the place. They have more energy. They're bouncing off the walls. Girls at that age tend to pay a little more attention. Girls by nature are pleasers. They like to please their parents. They like to please their coaches, their teachers. When the age changes, when the genders, they hit around that, between that 12 and 14-year plateau, all of a sudden the boys start becoming more serious, and the girls now begin to become more silly. They got to go in the mall. They got different interests, boyfriends. Things change. Okay, but reading the game, everything is a game, and this is what I teach the parents and the players. Treat everything like it's a game. So, for example, you get them to do a little exercise, bouncing on a ball. You know those balls that you get on top and you bounce? Okay, great. So you have 5, 6 players and on top of them, or it doesn't have to be a soccer related activity. It can just be any activity, like in the gym. You have 5, 6 players, and what you're going to do is you're going to sit on the ball and you're going to bounce. Okay, and we're going to go from one side to the other side, bouncing on the ball. Okay, we're all going to try to go at the same time. Try to keep a straight line. That's the rule. Now, if one kid is going faster than the other, okay, they are going to try to regulate themselves and try to go in the same line. So they're reading the game. One player is going too fast, the other one is going too slow. So they're going to try to adjust and make adaptations to kind of go in a straight line. So they're reading the game. Okay, you guys, let's say you're home. You're cooking dinner and you're following a recipe, and you're watching the pot, boil. You're reading the pot. Oh my God, the water's getting too hot. It's going to overspill. I need to turn the fire, down. And you're reading that again. You're cooking, but you're reading the cooking game, right? So here's a little thing that we like to say for the coaches or the parents, and you guys can. I don't care if you're a parent, not a coach. You can use all these things from the sideline and think about it. And when the player comes off, instead of just, oh my God, have a little discussion. Hey, how'd you play? Great. What do you think was your weakness, or what do you think was your strength? Great. Discuss it. 2 minutes. Leave it alone. Go get ice cream. Okay. But as a coach, let's say that we have a team. All right. How do we handle the game as players? A soccer field and a soccer game is a recipe for chaos. Soccer is just a game of mistakes. Soccer is a game of problems. So you got to find the problems, and you got to eliminate or solve those problems. You got to be able to determine, where does the problem happen? When does the problem happen? Who causes the problem? Is it the midfielder? Is it the defender? Is it a striker? Why does the problem happen? Okay? How can we fix the problem? Hold on a second. All right, I'm just trying to deal with the controls, like I said. Okay. How do we fix the problems? And then, of course, if we can't fix the problem, ask for help. Now, this applies to the to the coaches as well as the players. The players are in a position because they're playing the game, so it's a lot more difficult for them to be able to find the problems, solve the problems. Where is the problem? Why is there a problem? They got to make a lot of decisions while the game is going on. So for coaches, on the sideline is a little bit easier. Some coaches don't understand at all, so they cannot fix those problems. And of course, as parents, we're sitting on the sideline. Some of you guys probably never even thought about these things. So let's just do a real quick thing here. All right. So let's say there are players here. Okay. And I want to put red. Oh, this is very small. Let's make it bigger. Okay, so we got player there, player there, player there, player there, and player there. So everybody's covered. Okay? So our goalkeeper is going to pass the ball here, and every time the ball gets passed here, the red player intercepts the ball, goes in, and shoots. Okay? Goalkeeper passes the ball here, red player passes the ball, gets the ball, goes in and shoots and scores. Player goes here. Red player steps in, takes the ball, goes in and scores. So where's the problem? Where is the problem? Why is there a problem? Well, the way I'm reading the game is that the goalkeeper is passing the ball to the red player. The black player who's is on the same team as the defender, as the teammate, is not properly positioned, and that's why we're losing the ball. So maybe the black player, okay, when the goalkeeper is ready to distribute the ball, maybe the black player opens up, comes here. Now the goalkeeper passes the ball, and we keep possession. Now this black player moves here. We pass the ball to this player coming through. Now this player here moves away from the defender, opens up, makes space. We pass the ball. This other attacker probably gets away from the defender, makes space. We pass the ball, and we go to goal. Okay? So as you guys can see, is a little, I'm just using a small example of a problem. It can be adjusted, but the players must be able to read the game. Okay? The players must be able to read the game. If they cannot read the game, they can't fix the problems. So if this player here does not recognize that there's a problem and moves away, if this black player does not move away, why is my pen not working? Hold on a second. Told you I have problems. All right. I don't know why it's not working, but I can figure it out. So anyway, if this black player, who's our teammate, does not recognize there's a problem to move away, nothing will change. We won't be able to change, to fix the problem. So we need to learn how to read the game. We need to learn, why certain things happen. If a player on your team receives the ball and constantly loses the ball to the opposing player every time he or she tries to dribble, well, what is the problem? The problem is that that player's skills is not strong enough to take over the opposition, to beat the opposition. So first, we have to train and teach that player better skills. Second, that player needs to realize that, wow, the player that's covering me is too strong for me. I cannot beat him or her. Maybe I'm better off passing the ball, overlapping, receiving the ball back, and then advancing. So we need to figure out all these solutions. Okay? If a defender is marking someone, and that someone is always getting to the ball first, turning and beating that defender, what should the defender do? Maybe the defender should get closer to his mark that player, now that the player cannot turn and beat him, or if the situation presents itself, when the pass is being played, maybe because now they're marking tighter, they can step in front and win the ball before the ball gets to the person or the player that they're defending. Okay? So again, these are just examples of reading the game. That's all it is. Lastly, here's a big one. This is a big one. And this is for the parents more than anything else. You must trust the journey even if you don't understand it. What does that mean? That's a big one for me. You must trust the journey even if you don't understand it. From this group here, I don't know if we have coaches. I don't know if we have parents. I don't know if we have a combination of both. I don't know if some of you guys are sitting by your computer. Maybe you have your daughter or your son listen to this. Okay? But there are a lot of parents that, first of all, don't understand soccer. They just don't understand the sport. There's a round ball. There's goals. You score goals. You win the game. That's all they know. But they don't understand the intricacy of soccer. Okay? Furthermore, a lot of parents that mean well cause a lot of havoc because they don't understand the game and they can't appreciate what's going on from the coach or the trainer. So here's an example. Let's say we have a team that's, 5, 6 years old, 7. First of all, under my perfect scenario, those kids would not be competing anywhere. They come, they train, we teach them how to touch the ball, and they play among themselves. No need for the parents to spend money for passes, for registration, for leagues, for this, for that. The kids are way too young. And any game that you go, regardless if it's rec or travel, at that age, you don't see quality soccer. Very, very rarely do you see quality soccer. Okay? There might be an exception of a player who grasps the idea of soccer. Furthermore, until this year, when U.S. Soccer finally mandated age-appropriate soccer games, meaning that at 5 years old or 6 years old or 7 years old, they're playing 4v4, 5v5. Before, it used to be where you had, that age group playing 8 versus 8 on a bigger field with way too many rules. So now they've mandated they play smaller games with less players and less rules. In New Jersey, there is a league called the EDP League, and they do, they call them soccer festivals. They're not even tournaments or games. They don't keep scores. They come together. So let's say you have 2-3 teams from Jackson. They'll come and they play on the same day with 2-3 teams from Howell, from Marlboro. I'm just using towns that are close to my town. So they all come together and they have, they line out fields. I don't know the exact dimensions, but on each field there is 4 players or 5 players depending on the age, and they just play. They just play and they score goals and have fun. There's no offsides. There's no, I think there is out of bounds actually, but there's no offsides. There's not a lot of rules. They just play. There's no set positions in a lot of them. The coaches are non-existent. They just sit there and watch them play. There's no referees. All right, they just play. They just play. They just fall in love with the sport. All right. Well, guess what? A lot of parents on those teams are not going to be happy. And the number one reasoning behind it is that this is not soccer. I don't know what this is, coach, but I'm not happy. This is not soccer. My kid is not playing, I don't know, why am I paying for this? I don't get it. Well, you don't have to get it. You don't have to understand it. You just got to trust the process. You got to trust the journey. The reason why those games are so important is because it helps players develop their touches, their field awareness. Okay? A 7-year-old cannot grasp the idea of an offside. So when you had, previous years playing AV8 and the kid just stood there and the ball got past him and he or she was offsides, it was because she didn't understand the concept. She didn't understand the rule. Well, guess what? Let's take that rule out. Their brain is not capable of handling a 11v11 soccer game with every single rule. They can't run on those big fields. So having these little festival games is a part of a development process. Unfortunately, it didn't happen until last year. Thank goodness it did, in my opinion. But a lot of parents have an issue with that. Okay, and that's just an example. I mean, there's other examples that I can bring up. But once again, you have to trust the process. There's a reason why it was created. When you take your kid to learn a musical instrument, you don't sit on top of them and tell the teacher, well, I don't understand why you're doing this and this and this. I'm paying you. The teacher has a methodology, how he or she are going to teach your son or your daughter how to play a musical instrument. Same thing with languages. So why are we so stubborn in soccer? I don't care what this thing is. Oh, the other teams and the other clubs, blah, 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 blah. They play 11 aside. They play AVA. They go to tournaments. They do this. How come we don't do it? Well, once again, thankfully, those days are coming to an end very, very shortly because more and more clubs understand the development route has to change. In a country that we have so many players in the youth level playing soccer, we have a very, very difficult time producing a U.S. national team that can win on a regular basis. Not the U.S. women's. That's a different story. Okay. Thankfully, now you're beginning to see some players, U.S. players, that are going overseas and playing in Europe or in South America or making a pretty good living out of it. But again, if you compare the amount of registered soccer players that we have with the amount of players that are going outside the country to play, okay, it's still not a good number. And if you talk about MLS, well, MLS is coming around, but it's still way, way, behind from the rest of the top leagues. Let's say from La Liga, which is the Spanish league, or the Premiership League, which is the English league. They're still way behind. There's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of work to be done, in the levels below the MLS, in the college level, in the high school level, in all the levels. That's going to benefit and help us develop the soccer game to a point that we can more consistently send players to different countries. So parents, once again, I don't know who's in here. I don't know what your story is. Trust the journey. Okay? Find a coach that understands and knows the game and trust them. Don't challenge them. Don't tell me, blah, blah, blah. Because guess what? In the next few years, everybody's going to be doing the same thing. U.S. soccer is finally doing the right thing and mandating that these measures are put in place. So no longer are you going to have a choice. So regardless if you understand the journey or not, you're going to be forced. This is the way it's done. And you're not going to have a choice. Okay? All right. Let me give you one more thing. And it's already 9 o'clock. Wow. Time goes by fast. All right. So this is the biggest secret most paid coaches and trainers do not want you to know. That's the one I've been talking about. Now, don't forget, I'm going to make a lot of enemies with this. I'm only teasing. Not every paid coach or trainer, by the way, does or behaves in a manner that, I'm going to describe. A lot of paid coaches and trainers are more than happy to share this information with you. I'm just, being a little sarcastic because, there's a lot of stories out there. Oh, Coach Bob and da 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 da. He's fantastic. He's won everywhere. Oh, he coached all my 3 kids, and they're all superstars. And they all went to college, and they all blah, blah, blah. He's fantastic. He's worth every dollar. Well, I got news for you. Once again, these are my opinions. But thankfully, there's other paid coaches and trainers that share those opinions. The biggest thing that you need to keep in mind is that it's not about the training. What? Yeah, it's not about the training. You can go and spend all kinds of money. There's no guarantee that your kid is going to get better or is going to play at a higher level. Now, all the paid outfits out there would like to, argue this point, and they say, well, and they advertise, well, if you play with us, if you play in our academy, you have a lot better chance to go to we can get you to a college scholarship. Or you will never play at a higher level unless you play for an academy. Our academy just put 20 kids into the Division I college programs. Yeah, but how many kids did you have in your program? Oh, we had like 2,000 kids. Well, it's a numbers game. If you have 2,000 kids and you're getting the best players, it's a numbers game. Yeah, some of the kids are going to go to college or get an offer to go to college. If you use my training method, I can guarantee you that. No, you can't. Hey, guys, wake up and smell the coffee. Okay? Now, this is coming from somebody who, people pay me to train their kids. But this is a true story. And I make a lot of people angry because I will turn around and tell them, save your money. Don't spend your money. Your kid is not ready to play yet. Your kid is not into this. Hey, coach, by the way, so if you don't know, we actually train full teams, especially during the winter months here in Jackson. We average about, I'd say, 7, 8, maybe 10 teams that they all come and they get trained by us in a futsal environment. Little shameless plug for soccer skills. So, a coach doesn't want to do indoor training. They don't know how to do indoor training. I don't know, whatever. So I say, hey, Coach Nico, I got a kids of 15 players. We'd love to have you train them. Okay, so they give us the team, and I'll tell the coaches, are you ready for this? Blah 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 blah. Are you ready to sit on the sideline and not sit there and bark directions at your players? Because our training might be a little bit different than what you're used to. Okay. At some point I might say, Coach, let me be honest with you. Why don't you save your money? These kids are not ready to train. They don't come here to train. They come here to fool around. They don't want to play indoor soccer. They don't want to learn. They would rather be doing something else. And, we'll get looks like, what, are you crazy? Are you serious? You're a paid trainer. You're supposed to teach them and da-da-da-da. Yeah, I'm a paid trainer, and I can teach them how to do certain things. But it's up to the individual. It's up to the individual player to come here wanting to learn, wanting to play, wanting to put the best effort in, wanting to get better, enjoying the game, enjoying, being around other players, having fun. So I don't care what all the trainings out there. There's 1,000,001 books out there, 1,000,001 training programs. Every training group has a different spin on things. Every coach has a different perspective, and the parents are shelling out this money and that money and at the end of the day, guys, your biggest secret is it's not about the training. Does it help to have a good qualified trainer? Absolutely, of course. Teacher. Okay? The good teachers get the best out of their students. A good coach will get the best out of an individual player. But that individual player must come with a desire to learn, the desire to play. You can't force somebody. You can't teach something to somebody who doesn't want to be taught. You can't take the horse to the well and stick its head and let him drink water. You know the old saying, you can take him to the well, but you can't make him drink. So guess what, parents? Even the best coaches, and actually the best coaches are one of their unique abilities is to be able to choose, be able to read the players and choose players that want to come and train, that are coachable players, that are team players, that enjoy the sport, that give effort, that put themselves in a position to excel. So this is the biggest nugget, preseason nugget that I can give you. If your individual player is not enjoying himself or herself, is not having fun, does not have the desire, don't force them. Don't force them. Let them do something else. Skip soccer for one season. Let them go and do lacrosse. I don't know what other fall is there. Let them go do cross country. Let them do gymnastics. Let them do karate. Let them do hip hop. I don't know, whatever. Let them, give them a season off. Let them see, evaluate them. See, did they miss soccer? Are they asking you, hey, coach, hey, daddy, mom, can you please take me back to soccer? I really missed, my teammates. I really miss the coaches. Is your son or daughter every week looking forward to that training, or are they just like, oh, just do I have to go? Yeah, well, we pay for it. You got to go. You got to make that decision. You got to make that evaluation. Okay? It's not about the training. I don't care what anybody says, and I'm going to be absolute. I always say, don't say never, or listen to different opinions, and take out the best. In this particular instances, I don't care what anybody says, because most paid trainers and quality coaches will tell you, coaching will only get you so much. It does help to have a qualified coach or a trainer who knows the game, who knows how to, pass the information. Because here's another little nugget. There's a lot of great players out there that have played the sport, but they never coach. They never coach because they don't have the ability to pass the information, okay, to their kids, to their players. And recreation coaches is one of the toughest coaching position you can have. To be able to coach a recreation player who can hardly kick the ball, who has a very low soccer IQ, who has a low, self-esteem maybe, who cannot run, who cannot jump. Oh man, that is a hard job. The best coaches should be coaching that level, in my opinion. We forget as coaches, we travel through our career, all right, and you start coaching, higher level players and ages and whatnot. You forget how difficult that is. But once again, that player will come to your training if they have fun, if they learn something, but it's an individual decision. That player decided that I enjoy myself, I like the coach, so I would like to go and play with, my friends or whatnot. It's always an individual decision. All right. So some of the facts that we always ignore, which I kind of covered everything. All right. Not every kid will like soccer. Not every kid will be a good soccer player. Not every kid will develop at the same time. Some kids are slower starters than others. There's a lot of good trainers out there, like I said, but at the end of the day, it's up to the individual and their attitude. Attitude is very key as well. There's a lot of good soccer players with a lot of awesome talents that never make the higher levels because their attitude just stinks, plain and simple. Okay, their attitude stinks. So that's my biggest nugget for the night for you guys. We've gone way beyond 9 o'clock. It's 9:17. I do appreciate you guys coming in. Again, I'm going to work on the controls. If you guys have any questions, although I haven't figured out how to, like I said, I left all the microphones open. So if anybody has any question that you guys would like to ask, like 5 minutes before we get out of here, please do say so. The mics are open. So if you want to ask a question, go ahead. I'll shut up for like 2 minutes. No questions? Terrific. Okay. So if anything comes up, if you guys think of anything, you can always email it to me or put it on the Facebook page. Hopefully you guys know the page by now. Okay. It's facebook.com right here, Soccer Skills Training. If if you saw and you came into this meeting from someplace other than this page, just inbox, question or what have you. Had a question this morning about futsal training. Somebody is interested in doing futsal, so we are going to be posting the futsal information. Right? I guess the Sportica charges like $2,500 for a full year. So we answer the question. Okay, so if you have any questions, feel free to ask, and be more than happy to answer for you guys. From the emails that we've gotten, we're going to attempt to make this a regular thing, especially since we enter the season, and hopefully, we can have even some people come on from New Jersey Youth Soccer and other coaches that can share their opinions and get different perspectives. But at the end of the day, feel free to ask any questions or email us with any questions that you have, and we'll address them on the next one. All right. We've gone way past the 9 o'clock hour. I do appreciate you guys all being here, and we'll see you guys either on the soccer fields or on the Facebook page. Have a great night, and if I don't speak to you guys, have a great weekend.